Welcome to the Cenario podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Okay, so let's dive in. We're talking about that constant companion for so many of us.
Yeah.
Stress. And specifically the hormone right at the center of it all, cortisol.
Exactly. It's almost like this background hum of anxiety that people just get used to, but it often points back to cortisol being out of whack.
And it's produced by the adrenal glands, right?
Yeah.
We actually need it.
Oh, absolutely. Cortisol isn't the enemy inherently. It's essential. Think metabolism, regulation, immune response, really critical functions.
But it gets that fight or flight label.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where the trouble starts with chronic stress. When that fight or flight system is always on, cortisol goes from lifesaver to, well, a life disruptor.
So our mission today, we're taking a deep dive into the evidence, aren't we?
We are giving you a functional shortcut, really, understanding how chronic stress actually damages the system and, crucially, which natural supplements have solid evidence behind them for restoring some balance.
Because the core issue isn't cortisol itself, it's that it just stays high. Like your body is constantly prepping for a threat that never quite arrives.
Exactly, that constant feeling of an impending deadline or some vague danger. Physiologically, your body just isn't designed to sustain that level of readiness indefinitely.
And the downstream effects are pretty serious.
They really are. When cortisol levels stay chronically elevated, the damage isn't subtle. We see clear links to accelerated weight gain, especially that stubborn fat around the abdomen.
Visceral fat, yeah.
Right, and significant sleep disturbances, a weakened immune system. It just struggles to keep up.
And it creates this awful cycle, doesn't it? High cortisol causes anxiety and fatigue.
Which then makes it harder to do the things that would help, like exercise or eat well, so the stress just gets worse. It's a vicious feedback loop.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because people are definitely looking for ways to manage this that aren't just prescription meds. There's this huge interest in natural supplements now.
There really is, and they're seen as this promising, maybe evidence-backed way to help modulate that stress response, get things back in balance.
But, and this is a big but, I imagine.
A very big but. We have to be critical here. Just because something is natural doesn't automatically mean it works, or that it's safe for everyone.
Right.
So when we talk about supplements for chronic stress in this deep dive, we're really focusing on those with actual scientific backing, verifiable support.
And the goal isn't to replace medical advice.
Absolutely not. It's about choosing high-quality options and, crucially, balancing these natural approaches with professional guidance, safety, and finding what works for you specifically.
So looking at the landscape of stress remedies, there's one category that keeps popping up. Adaptogens.
Adaptogens are key here. They're sort of the foundational category we need to understand.
Why adaptogens? What's the name mean?
It's pretty descriptive, actually. They're thought to help the body adapt to stressors, whether physical, chemical, biological. They seem to exert this normalizing effect, nudging the system back towards balance or homeostasis.
Okay, so they're like system modulators.
That's a great way to think about it. They're the key modulators we're tracking when we talk about long-term stress resilience.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the specific option the sources highlight, the ones with the strongest data.
Right, the heavy hitters. There are 4 that consistently come up as having the most compelling science behind them for stress support.
And we have to start with the one everyone talks about, ashwagandha.
We do. Ashwagandha really earns its reputation mainly because of the sheer volume of clinical research behind it.
What does the data actually show?
It's pretty compelling. Multiple trials show significant drops in circulating cortisol levels. We're talking ranges typically between 23% and 32%.
Wow, that's substantial. That's not a small effect.
It's a really quantifiable impact on the body's main stress hormone. It's why it's often called the gold standard adaptogen.
But percentages like that? They sound almost too good to be true. What's the catch? Is it massive doses, or does it take forever?
That's the right question to ask. The sources are clear. Consistency is absolutely key. You don't just take it once and see that drop.
How long are we talking?
Typically, you're looking at maybe 8 to 12 weeks of regular, consistent dosing to achieve those kinds of figures reported in studies.
Okay, so patience is needed.
Definitely. And this brings up a practical point for you listening. Look for standardized extracts. Things like KSM66 are often mentioned.
Why standardize?
It ensures you're getting a consistent amount of the active compounds from batch to batch. It increases the likelihood you'll see results similar to the clinical trials because the potency is reliable.
Makes sense. And ashwagandha isn't just about cortisol, is it? There are other benefits noted.
Right. Beyond just lowering cortisol, studies consistently show it helps alleviate general anxiety symptoms and can lead to measurable improvements in sleep quality, sleep architecture.
Okay, so that's ashwagandha. Let's move to number 2, rhodiola rosea. Another adaptogen, but maybe with a slightly different focus.
It seems so. While ashwagandha is perhaps the strongest for directly lowering measured cortisol, rhodiola appears to really excel when stress tips over into, well, burnout. Real systemic depletion.
Like chronic fatigue.
Exactly. Not just feeling tired after a long week, but that deep exhaustion where even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Rhodiola is often highlighted for boosting mental performance and cutting through that stress-related fatigue.
Okay, but the research. Some sources say it's promising, but maybe not as robust as ashwagandha's. How should someone weigh that?
That's a fair point. If the main goal, the primary target, is purely lowering cortisol numbers as quickly and reliably as possible, ashwagandha has more extensive data.
But rhodiola might be better for certain people.
Potentially, yes. If your primary experience of stress manifests as burnout, brain fog, and that profound lack of energy, even if anxiety isn't the main issue, rhodiola might be a more targeted intervention for you. It seems to address that depletion aspect more directly, even with fewer large-scale cortisol trials compared to ashwagandha.
Interesting distinction. Okay, next up, we shift gears a bit away from adaptogens specifically. L-theanine.
Right. L-theanine is an amino acid. You find it naturally in green tea. And it offers something completely different in terms of timeline.
How so?
Well, L-theanine isn't really about modulating that long-term stress axis, the HPA axis, like the adaptogens are. Its value is in providing quick, acute relief from stress.
Acute relief. Like right now.
Pretty much. It's known for its calming effects. It seems to promote alpha brainwave activity, which is associated with a state of relaxed alertness, importantly, without causing drowsiness for most people.
So if you're feeling suddenly overwhelmed.
Exactly. An important meeting coming up, maybe fear of flying, a sudden spike of anxiety. L-theanine can often take the edge off quite quickly, usually within 30 to 60 minutes.
That fast-acting nature is its key feature then.
That's what really sets it apart from the adaptogens, which need time to build up. The evidence for L-theanine significantly lowering chronic cortisol levels over weeks isn't as strong as for ashwagandha, but for immediate calming, it's very popular.
Got it. Okay, rounding out the top 4, something different again, a nutrient, magnesium.
Magnesium, yes, absolutely foundational. It's easy to overlook, but it's critical.
Why is it so important for stress?
Well, it's involved in literally hundreds of enzyme reactions in the body. Many of these regulate nerve function, muscle function, basically how your nervous system operates.
And stress impacts magnesium levels.
It does. Chronic stress can actually deplete magnesium stores. And here's the kicker. Low magnesium can make your nervous system more sensitive to stress. It's another one of those negative cycles.
So it helps lower cortisol and breaks that depletion cycle.
Exactly. Adequate magnesium intake supports lower cortisol levels directly, but it also helps prevent that deficiency that makes you more susceptible to stress in the first place. For many people, just getting enough magnesium is a crucial baseline step.
Okay, that connects a lot of dots. We've got adaptogens modulating the system over time, L-theanine for quick relief, and magnesium as a foundational support. Can we talk a bit more about how the adaptogens work? You mentioned the HPA axis.
Yes, the HPA axis, that's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Think of it as the command center. The brain, hypothalamus and pituitary, detects stress, sends signals down the chain to the adrenal glands sitting on top of your kidneys, and tells them to release cortisol. It's a communication pathway.
And adaptogens interrupt this, or?
They don't so much interrupt it as they modulate it. They seem to interact with the feedback loops within that axis. They help normalize the sensitivity so the alarm isn't constantly blaring at full volume.
So they're fine-tuning the response.
That's the idea, helping to bring cortisol production back into a healthier range and improving your overall ability to cope with the stress signals. It helps explain why they take time. They're working on re-regulating a complex system.
That makes sense. Now, you also mentioned a surprising player earlier, one that works differently again. Omega-3 fatty acids. Fish oil, basically.
Yes, omega-3s, often associated with heart health, but the evidence for stress resilience is surprisingly strong.
Stronger than some adaptogens.
In some studies, yes. Clinical trials, mostly using fish oil supplements rich in EPA and DHA, have shown they can reduce cortisol levels by, get this, up to 33%.
Wow, that's up there with ashwagandha's top figures.
Yeah.
Why? What's the mechanism? It's not an adaptogen.
No, it works differently. The primary theories focus on two main areas: their potent anti-inflammatory effects and their role in brain health, specifically cell membrane function.
Inflammation and stress are linked?
Very strongly. Chronic stress drives inflammation throughout the body. Omega-3s help counteract that systemic inflammation. They also support optimal brain function, which is obviously key to perceiving and responding to stress.
So by reducing inflammation and supporting the brain.
They seem to enhance your overall resilience, allowing the body to handle stressors more efficiently without triggering such an extreme cortisol surge. They're a really valuable, well-studied addition.
Okay. Before we get to practical takeaways, what about some other things people see, like vitamin C or other adaptogens like holy basil or ginseng?
Good question. Vitamin C is important for adrenal function and immune health, and there's some suggestion it might influence the stress response, but the data for directly lowering cortisol isn't as clear-cut as the ones we focused on.
And the other adaptogens.
Things like holy basil, tulsi, ginseng, schizandra, cordyceps, they all have traditional uses and some promising research, certainly. But the evidence base, especially regarding specific measured cortisol reduction, is generally smaller or less consistent compared to ashwagandha, rhodiola, and the omega-3s. They might be supportive, but they aren't quite in that top tier based purely on current cortisol-lowering evidence.
Got it. So focusing on the big four plus omega-3s seems like the most evidence-based starting point. What does this mean practically for someone listening who wants to try this?
Okay, practical steps. Rule number one, especially for the adaptogens like ashwagandha and rhodiola, patience and consistency.
We mentioned this, but it bears repeating.
Absolutely. These are not quick fixes like L-theanine. They work by gradually modulating that HPA axis. You really need to commit to several weeks, often 6 to 12 weeks, of consistent daily use to see the full potential benefits. Think marathon, not sprint.
And dosage. It's tempting to see those big reduction numbers and think more is better.
Definitely avoid that temptation. While you can find general guidelines for standardized extracts online or on product labels, individual needs vary hugely. Your biochemistry, your current stress level, other health factors, it all plays a role.
So talking to someone is key.
Strongly advisable. Consulting a healthcare professional, your doctor, a knowledgeable naturopath, or a registered dietitian nutritionist is the best way to figure out an appropriate starting dose for you and make sure it aligns with your overall health picture.
Which brings us squarely to safety. This is crucial. What's the safety checklist people need to run through?
Paramount. First, if you have any underlying health conditions, you must talk to your doctor before starting these. Especially thyroid conditions, ashwagandha, for example, can potentially influence thyroid hormones.
And medications.
Big one. If you're taking any prescription medications, particularly for anxiety, depression, sleep, blood pressure, or blood sugar, you need professional guidance. Supplements can interact with drugs, sometimes dangerously altering their effects or causing side effects.
What about common side effects from the supplements themselves?
Generally, the main ones we discussed are well tolerated. Ashwagandha might cause mild stomach upset for some people initially. With magnesium, the most common issue is taking too much too fast, which can cause osmotic diarrhea. Starting low and increasing the dose slowly usually prevents that. L-theanine is generally very safe. Rhodiola might be slightly stimulating for some, so maybe avoid taking it late in the day.
Okay, super important caveats there. So let's recap the main takeaways from this deep dive.
Right. The most established, evidence-backed natural tools we have for managing chronic stress and helping to lower cortisol appear to be the gold standard adaptogen ashwagandha,
The fatigue-focused adaptogen rhodiola rosea,
the fast-acting calmer L-theanine,
the essential nutrient magnesium.
and the potent anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, usually from fish oil. But remember, approach them thoughtfully. Quality matters, look for standardized products where applicable, and always, always integrate this knowledge with professional medical advice for safety and personalization.
Perfect. And as you start thinking about maybe incorporating some of these, particularly the adaptogens that need that consistent use over weeks, here's a final thought to chew on. Since the effects build slowly and feeling less stress can be vague, what subtle, more objective signs could you track in those first 6 or 8 weeks? Instead of just mood, could you monitor, say, how long it takes you to fall asleep? Or how often you experience those little spikes of anxiety during the day? Or maybe even just notice if you handle a minor frustration, like spilling coffee, with a bit more ease instead of it derailing your morning. Thinking about those small, concrete markers might give you a clearer picture of your progress as your system begins to rebalance.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.